back in the day, you were in one band and you guys worked all together to like make things happen. And nowadays people are so busy. You know, it's so hard to get people together because everyone's struggling to just exist here in LA. And also being in a band when I first started, you could get a record deal. I mean, I got a $500,000 record deal with one of my bands, you know? So there was this dream of great, this could happen. And it's just not the same now. There's not that like incentive for there to be a band.
Hola amigos de La Última Canción, yo soy Carlos, estamos aquí de nuevo con Cristian y un invitado muy especial, Jonathan Burkes. El episodio de hoy va a ser en inglés, así que lean los subtítulos que aparecen aquí en YouTube y en Spotify, pues ahí sí no sé qué decirles, se jodieron. Si no aprendieron inglés, no sé, Instituto Meyer enseña, o no sé, Duolingo, o algo así. Jonathan, welcome.
Hey, how
do
you doing?
Little intro in Spanish.
Love it.
But all our bilingual speakers are now here with us, so thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's awesome to have you again. We had you on our brother podcast, Nerdopolitan, before with Le Petit Mort.
Yes.
And we learned that that's only one of the several projects you collaborate in.
Yep.
So we invited you back because we want to learn more about you and more about the different projects you're in, bands you're in.
Okay.
And
sure.
Just about who is Jonathan Burkes.
All right.
So welcome and
thank you.
And,
yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome,
thank
Jonathan.
you.
So just to get started, Jonathan, are you a local from Southern California?
Yeah, I grew up here in Los Angeles, and I was born in Boston. But when I was 6 months, my parents moved me down to Los Angeles. So I grew up pretty much in West LA, and you know, the rest is history. You know?
And there was always like music in the family, or
yeah, my mother played guitar and sang, played recorder, and I remember going to sleep with her singing, serenading me. Like sometimes I couldn't go to sleep unless she was playing. So it was always around, and there was always music. My grandfather was a songwriter, and my other grandfather was opera singer. Never pursued it because his family wasn't very supportive, but it was always kind of in our blood, you know. And I think it's just that need to entertain was kind of ran in the family, you know, public speakers and stuff like that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
With, some sort of fascination for the stage.
or showmanship.
Fascination. I think to be in front of people and also just to communicate ideas. I think you know.
When would you find out that music is gonna be something for you, something that's gonna haunt you forever?
That's a good question. Probably when I turned 12 years old, when I got my first bass guitar and joined my first band. I just love the whole process of collaborative experience of an artist. I love the community aspect of working with people and creating these amazing art pieces that are just very deep, deeper than normal day-to-day conversation about generic things that we're all going through. I think it's an opportunity for us to kind of go beneath the shell that we are giving to the world and bring out something a little more substantial and possibly meaningful, or equally frivolous.
Yeah.
You know, one or the other. You know, I like the extremes of expression. I love I love bouncing ideas off of people. It's so much fun. It's a lot more fun than talking about your day job or gossiping about BS of other people's dramas and you know, even politics. You know, I'd rather talk about music and deep concepts about life, and you know, if you want to get political or whatever, or talk about social political things and make a poem out of it and make it into a song, yeah, that's productive. But I always think it's it can be very positive and cathartic to put your energy into that process, because in a sense, when you do that, you're almost purging it from yourself and using it as inspiration instead of adding kindling to a fire that's started small and become a blaze that eventually burns or hurts somebody, you know.
There's several things in there that I like. One of them, Was bass guitar always your instrument?
Bass guitar and guitar, because my mom had a classical guitar, but I studied bass and got really inspired by Metallica when I was a kid, and a lot of these local musicians in the area. And when I took a trip when I was young with my mom, went to New Mexico, and I remember seeing this bass player in New Mexico playing and got really inspired. The tone of it. And just the fact that it was such a large instrument and it was so deep sounding. I just, I was enthralled. And there weren't a lot of bass players either. Everyone played guitar or drums or, there just wasn't a lot of, bass had this thing to it, and I was sheltered. I grew up kind of sheltered. Couldn't watch a lot of TV, wasn't allowed to go out at night or, I was very, I didn't break the rules. I was a good kid. Mom, I should have broke the rules. I really should have.
So that was your escape. Your escape was
it was the music. And there wasn't the internet and the computers weren't as cool as they are now. You know what I mean? So I was playing a lot of music and writing stories and just living in my head. That's kind of what my entertainment was. For a long time.
The second thing I want to, from what you said before, was a communication aspect in music, where you were saying it's fun to bounce off ideas.
Yeah.
Would you say that's similar to a jam session?
Yeah.
You're bouncing off. It's because music is also a language.
Yeah.
In some sorts that not a lot of people can speak.
Yeah.
Maybe. And
there's different types of musical languages. And when you say jam, what are you talking
Exactly.
about? Because everybody's got a different idea of jam.
Yeah.
For me, jam is completely improvised music, which means you do not plan anything. You go in there and you vibe off of each other and you don't talk about chord changes. You don't talk about keys. You just listen and you play and you feel. Now, other people have other different idea of jam sessions. Let's play some covers and have a jam session. No. That's not jamming to me.
No, jamming would be more improvisation.
More improvisation, true improvisation, where you're listening and you're bouncing off of each other and you're using your skills and your knowledge of everything that has come to communicate something deep in that moment. And that's such a gift and such a beautiful way to communicate with people, even if you don't actually speak the same language. And I've found traveling the world, I've been to a few places. I've been to Ukraine and to England and Mexico, Canada, and music. You can communicate with music when I don't even understand what they're saying. Listen, play this funky bass. Oh, funky bass. Oh, he's rapping in French. I don't need to know what he's talking about, but he understands funky bass. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's such a beautiful gift, and I'm always reminded, that I need to be in a grateful place for that, because growing up in LA, you kind of get caught in expectations and you get caught in trying to live and exist as an artist. And it can mess you up, so you have to always come back to square one. And that's why I love teaching. I teach children and I do a lot of and adults, but I work with the youth because they're always fresh. They're always fresh and they're excited. If you got a new student and they're seeing it differently than you do. And so every time you work with a new student, you are forced to kind of see it through, if you're a good teacher, to see what's going on with them, to help them get to where they want to be. And that in turn kind of inspires you and imprints this whole kind of view that maybe you forgot about, or maybe you got far away from because you were following some other thing for a moment, so I think it's really important to always know why you're doing something, with yourself. I mean, intention is so key, key.
So you mentioned that around 12, you kind of get caught by music and understand that it will be something big for you. How was that experience? What were you doing? What was the band that you were joining?
Oh, it was just a terrible garage band, just horrible music. And I won't even tell you the name of the band.
Yeah, it was just for the fun, I guess.
Those names are always fun.
Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, it was bad. And but it was a lot of fun, and as we get older, I mean, enjoyed the visceral aspect of it, the volume of the drums and the excitement for the unknown and the excitement to get on stage and the performance aspect of it, you know. And also back when we were growing up, there was more isolation, you know. There wasn't all these, we didn't have the phone or the, you know, computer to find our place in life if we felt isolated. You know, now if you're at home and you feel isolated, you can go online and find a group of community of people like you all around the world and feel connected, you know. There was such a more of a sense of isolation and gloomy kind of feeling like, I can't, what am I going to do? I'm stuck, you know. And you know, and especially for me is because I didn't like breaking. I was like just frightened of the world, you know, growing up. I didn't, you know, I was just like, what's going on? You know, so the garage was very, very helpful for me. You know what I mean? And, you know, my mom was an artist, so she had like these crazy sisal shredding machines. So it smelled like hemp in there, not marijuana hemp, but just this rope. So it always had this kind of, we'd go in there and it had this vibe and this huge giant shredder, and my bandmates would sit on the shredder and we'd be singing and jumping off of the shredder. And, you know, it just had this atmosphere that kind of for a moment took us away from our normal existence, which was, you know, what we're all kind of looking for, you know.
That's
so
cool. How long did that band last? Like that
I mean, the initial one, not very long, but, you know, it transitioned into other bands, and, you know, I still play with some of those guys today, believe it or not, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. We're, you know, so one thing about
so you bond by
you
playing
bond,
music.
yeah, you bond, exactly. You know, it's you find friends forever, you know. And I mean, for me, it's been a long time, you know. I've been friends with the guys that I've known from high school. I'm still friends with them, and that's really rare. That's super rare. Everyone tells me, "Oh my God, that's weird." You know what I mean? So I feel, you know, lucky.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I think it definitely has to do with that kind of like unspoken language that you share. That it's like definitely bonds. I don't know. We were talking about it, I think, in a past episode about how music, what you were just mentioning, it just like transcends languages and everything, and that's how people are fans of like K-pop without understanding anything Korean or like
it's the
how,
feeling.
Just you just feel it and you go with it, and it fills you and gives you enough to keep going. So that's very interesting. So after high school, what's the next step? Did you pursue like a classical traditional music education?
I had a private teacher. I was always into private lessons because I could just get more attention and get to what I needed to be. But I did go to a community college and learn music theory. But, you know, I learned music theory a few, like 5-6 years after I'd been playing. And it was so much easier to learn than when I first started, because before you actually start playing music, it's theoretical. Like you don't understand why it's this interval is it what it is. You know, after a few years of playing music and playing songs and doing my own exploration, when I went to learn theory, I learned it like that because, this sounds like, you know, Wes Montgomery song that I like, or this sounds like that Jane's Addiction song, or this sounds like, you know, that Stevie Wonder song. It's like after, you know, living and growing with music, the music itself was the teacher, you know what I mean? And then when you go to learn it, it was so much easier. So eventually, you know, I learned, you know, all the important things in music, but in the beginning I learned scales and modes, which were very helpful. You know, that I would always say, if you're starting off, always learn your scales and your modes. That's the number one thing. Just know that. That's the only music theory you need to know in the beginning. Don't worry about anything else. Just learn that first, you know, and then everything else will just come, because the modes are like the scales of emotion, you know, and it's incredible. I mean, it's infinite. When you really get into it, it's beautiful. You know, I'm in love with it. So what can I say? You know, but you know, don't get discouraged if you can't learn music. You can't read music. I don't want you know.
I think that's what discouraged me when I was a kid. It was like, and then what you're just saying, it's like, it's trying to teach something like abstract, or like music is like something you were saying before. Sometimes you can't touch it. It's like, you know, it's like a feeling, and trying to reduce it to like drawings or something. It's like, it's kind of absurd. And
it's actually irresponsible, in my opinion, to learn it, to push somebody before they have the passion for it, because
Right.
you gotta lock in, man. You gotta lock into it before you start getting deeper. You know, it's like, I'm not sitting down at the bench, you know, the bench press and doing 100 pounds right off the bat. I got to start at 20 and then move up.
Yeah.
You know, to be stronger and healthier and stuff. It's the same thing. You want to start where you lock in with the heart, because the heart is what's keeping us alive. I mean, the heart is the reason why we're all here. It's beating. You know what I mean? It's the original drum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, if you don't lock the heart in, there's ain't nothing you're going to want to do, you know? So, I tell that to my student today. I was telling them, to just feel, what are you feeling? I was trying to, teach songwriting to a 10-year-old, and at the end of the lesson, the father was like, man, I think it's so cool how you really try to get her to express herself as opposed to learning like 20 chords in one lesson.
Yeah.
And I went through my spiel and gave it to him again. He's like, that is so different from all the other teachers in LA, because everybody's trying to sell like information, especially when you're charging a lot of money. You feel like they got to learn something because the parents are paying like $100 an hour. You know what I mean? I better make sure that these kids know. No, it's not, like, stop with that, man. The kids spend all their week learning and memorizing and doing all that stuff. Give them a place where they exercise a different muscle, literally.
Yeah.
And the heart is a muscle.
I think that applies to like all things that are taught in schools,
right?
And in general, they want you to memorize stuff and just like they like pound it into your brain, and that's not how it works. Like it shouldn't be like that.
It's one way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, not everybody learns like that. You know what I mean? But the thing is, if they focused on more passion in schools and help kids do things that were more practical to what they need and connect the heart with things, kids would love going to school.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're not in the business of making good citizens. They're in the business of making consumers. That's in America.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean? They're doing a good job.
Programming,
It's working.
I was like listening to this guy the other day. They were talking about the artificial intelligence, and something they were saying for me was pretty interesting. It was like this girl saying that all the data come from the past. Let's say we put data on the net, social media, everything, but it's like from the past, right? So like all the data is gonna learn from the past. So that's gonna kind of bring some sort of idea of we cannot improve. Why the data kind of tell us we cannot improve, because what the data know is from the past. So whatever kind of like new or like it's gonna break something or creativity, it's kind of like the data kind of like, no, that's not possible.
What did you say?
Creativity.
Okay.
So I feel in education having something like quite alike. Like kids, they don't allow kids to show their passion and be more, sometimes, fail. Because like there's such a big fear about failing.
I can relate to that. And that was crippling for me growing up.
Yeah, and that's how I want to bring you to the LA scene. How you live in LA since a long time, doing into music since a long time. How you were saying the expectations in LA are huge. Sometimes like a lot of people think LA is the mecca of the music industry. How do you encounter that? How was for you to be in that scene and see the different layers and the different alleys around it?
It's a very hard question to answer, and I'm going to do my best to answer it, but I just don't want anybody to quote me on being an authority on this question at all. Because I have my own experience about it, and I also have I have a very positive philosophy about it, and but it's some people call me naive and kind of a Candide of my time, like kind of just just keep going, you know what I mean? But the thing is, things are always changing. Things are always changing, and scenes are changing, and there's pockets and times where there will be something happening, in the goth scene, and it's going great for X amount of years, or in the alternative rock scene, there's something in Hollywood that's going great, and then it'll change, and then it'll disappear, and then downtown LA is hot for a few years, and and then it's Boyle Heights, you know what I mean? So it's always kind of moving around, and things shut down, clubs open and close, You know, the pandemic changed things.
Yeah.
It's like that's
you know what I
extremely
mean?
musical. Like there's other things that are beside the music, like
Right.
marketing. And
Oh
all
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And you know, a long time ago, when I was younger, I was going out all the time, and you're playing all the time. You're going out, so you're naturally just getting people to the show. But now, you know, I want to spend more time working on my music in the studio. I'm producing other artists. I'm not out getting smashed every night. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, it's just not the way it is. I'm not, you know, on tour, hitting a different bar and club every night, making these connections. And, you know, it's just different now. I mean, granted, if the opportunities came up to have a really great tour, you know, I would look into it, of course, but it's just not happening right now. So I'm doing other things, you know what I mean? So it's kind of so playing live, kind of the relationship changes. So the philosophy I have is I just go to the street. I just take it to the street. If I need some new fans, I try to just play. I just go to where the crowd is and play. And how do you do that is a big question. And one of the things I've been doing with one of my bands, the Galaxy Twins, is we built a Tesla battery. And we literally go to where there's a concert, we set up on the street and we play as people come by. And we just rock out until the cops shut us down.
Okay.
Cool.
And we've gotten more fans from doing that than playing random clubs in LA, you know, for years. Because, you know, you go to a club, how do you know there's someone going to be there? It's not like the club promoter is promoting it and getting the right people. And then if there's people there, are they into your music? Is it the right time? What if there's a hip hop crowd and you're a metal band and you're and you got the wrong show? Or, you know, it's complicated. You know what I mean? So now what I'm doing is like, oh shoot, let's look, you know, there's a band that's kind of like us. They're playing the Wiltern or they're playing the Lodge Room. We're going to go to the Lodge Room and just set up on the street and play to those fans because we know those fans are going to like our music. Best way to promote. You're like, well, what if the cops shut you down? Well, if we play for 30 minutes to 200 people walking into the show, that's way better than an hour to our friends who already know us. You know what I mean? It's like, it start to kind of, how do we build a fan base? How do you do it? You know what I mean? Yeah. And now with the AI, man, they're going to be able to make songs so easily. I mean, we're talking recorded music is going to become so worthless. It already is pretty much worthless. I mean, almost, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. It's getting there. But now with the AI, you don't even need to know how to play. You just need to know about music, which is cool too. And I think that's great for directors doing movies and producers. And,
you know, create like a draft. Maybe.
A draft, yeah. And as the AI gets better, it's actually going to be great. It's going to be good. I mean, I heard some AI songs. It's starting to get good. I'm like, this isn't bad. You know what I mean? But it's a recording. Who cares anymore? I want to see it. I want to feel something. You know what I mean? It's like, there's so much out there. I was telling him earlier, I discover a new band every week, a new producer, a new singer, a new song. And it's great. I mean, it's amazing. I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. I'm going to go practice my instrument now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm going to practice my singing because I got inspired, you know? And that's really what it's about, is like finding your own voice and your own connection to yourself, you know, not trying to be the next thing, because you only have 4 minutes and 15 seconds of fame anyway. And if you talk to some of these people who have billions or millions of streams, they're not making a lot of money. You know what I mean? They're not, unless they're savvy business people and they can really spin their viral something into something, you know, and they have a good team or they're just really well-rounded, you know, then, you know, good for them. But I mean, it's really about your connection to your art and trying to become better at what you love. You know, it's like when you're in love with a woman or your partner, you want to be a good partner. You want to work on things and be better. And when you have kids, you want to be a good parent and you want to, you know, you work on things that you love, you know, you want to explore that, you know, and that's really kind of in the end, what I got to keep reminding myself, you know, as I get older and as I face my own expectations about where I've been and the things I've done. And, you know, because I've had some pretty great moments, you know what I mean? You know, pretty great moments, you know, got to see the world, got to get a record deal with my bands, got to tour. I'm thankful. You know, did it go where I wanted it to go? No. You know, I didn't get there, or I'm not there yet, you know, but it's, you have to remind yourself and keep getting back to the roots of things. And that's very challenging when it's hard to pay your rent. As an artist, you know what I mean? And you know, it gets very challenging to keep that positivity going. I've been very fortunate because I've, you know, been very lucky, and I've had a lot of support from friends and family through the years, and I've had some hard times, but I've also had low expectations. So I've been able to kind of coast for a long time and be an artist. You know what I mean? But you know, it's going to become it's practicality always ends up becoming, you know, the main thing. You know, even as you get older, your leg starts hurting. Oh, I got to see a doctor for my toes. Something's wrong with my toe. Got to get to the doctor.
You made me think of another subject that I've had in my head for a while, and it's about like younger artists that have like an in-house studio, and they record everything in their house, and they reach some level of fame just through platforms like SoundCloud or Bandcamp, but they've never had a live show in their life. And there's like several like that, and they don't even realize it until they're going to have a live show, and they're like, they have no idea what they're getting into.
Oh, it's such what a great stress. They're so lucky.
What's your opinion on that?
I think it's great. I think it's a great learning experience for them. I think if you get, if you are faced with that problem, I mean, that is,
because before it was like the other way around.
Right.
You'd have to like practice in your garage for a long time,
right,
and then maybe get a deal, or maybe get someone who would help you or get some money put together to record something. Yeah. And now it's like,
it's the opposite.
Just record at home, and then someday you'll play live somewhere.
Exactly. I mean, I'm addicted to playing live. You know what I mean? I love the studio too and writing, but I mean, I think that's a great, you know, as artists, we always have these kind of milestone things that happen, you know, that like challenges, whether it's on the business level, whether it's creative, whether it's traveling, whether it's on tour with your band and learning how to deal with each other, you know, being a singer on tour, you know, if you're singing every night and partying, okay, you're going to get, you know, your voice is going to get
exhausted.
Your voice is, you know, you're going to learn how to, you're going to get a learning lesson there, you know, these bedroom producers, you know what I mean? How am I going to do it live? Well, you better figure it out. And I think it's an amazing problem to have. Yeah. And I think, you know, because in the end, if the music is resonating, it's all about the music. Who cares how you get there? I started off as a live musician. That's my love. I mean, I love the studio too now. I've grown to love the studio, of course. But in the end, I just love connecting with people in a live way. You know what I mean? And if I can't make it happen in the studio, if I'm banging my head against my partners in the studio, we hire someone. We can't do this ourselves. Let's pay this guy to finish this for us, you know? And there's so many talented producers and mixers and engineers, you know, you can find them easily, you know? So it's great, you know? We all are in the process of trying to reach deadlines, whether we like it or not, because we're all going to die eventually. And the deadline needs to be there in order for us to grow. And, you know, I was talking about it with Carlos, and you got to get it done. You got to get it finished. You got to move on. You got to share it one way or another. Put it out there, play live, you know, and move on. Let it go. And don't let it define you. And it's tough because when you even get success, then expectations come too. You know, and then you got to learn how to deal with that. That's another level. Oh, is this going to be as good as that last song? You know, I don't know. Is it?
How's I know I'm sure that the mentality you have towards live performances and your mindset now it's like what you were saying. It's learned. You've learned it over time. Yeah. I guess. How was it when you started out playing live? Like, what was were you doing these long, week-long presentations and going to places every night?
Yeah, I was playing all the time. We were playing live shows all the time. We were rehearsing a lot. When I got out of high school at 17, I got a day job working at a school, taking care of kids. And then during the night, every single night we were rehearsing because I was in a progressive rock band and progressive rock music is extremely complicated. So you can learn it, but you have to practice it over and over again or you forget it like really quickly. It's so complex. It was so hard to keep the music tight. So we would play a lot. I mean, we would play tremendously. I mean, all the time, like practice. And then we would get, since I was under 21, it was hard for me to get club gigs. And the club bar gigs I had to come in through the back, and we couldn't walk off the stage. You know what I mean? Because it was 21, and we'd go in and we're just playing to all these adults, 21 and over people, and those little 17-year-old, schmucks fucking coming in, just playing, and the owner just standing there, just freaked out, you know what I mean? But then we'd come and just play this little teenage progressive rock kids, and people would just be like, "What is going on?" You know what I mean? Because we were nerdy. We're total nerds. You know what I mean? Just so into music and so into trying to be like, incorporating different styles of music from South American bands to pop music to rock music to everything. And we would spend a lot of time doing that. So yeah, I mean, we'd play as much as we could, coffee shops, house parties. I mean, before I even got out of high school, we couldn't even rehearse because we didn't have a place. So we would go to our friend's house and say, "Hey man, we'll hook you up with some greens if you maybe let us rehearse in your studio." Or we'd say, we'd invite people to jam with us, and go to their house and then just practice our set. Just sing over this, man, or just go ahead, play along with us. You know what I mean? We just run our songs and let them just go like, "What's going on here?" "Oh yeah, just keep going. You're good. You're good." You know what I mean? Punk ass kids I'm sorry. That was horrible. It was really bad. I'm sorry for that. But we had to practice because we didn't know where to go. And my mom was sick of having us play in the garage, and we had burned all our bridges with the families because of the noise. And, it was just like, but eventually when I got out of high school, we found a studio on the West Side, and, then it was 24/7. I mean, for years, I would not go out anywhere. I would just stay in the studio and practice for years. And then I would, for like 10 years, and playing, and I wouldn't go out that much. It was just, if I had a girlfriend, she had to hang out at the studio. I wasn't going out. I wasn't going to do all these other, we'd go out and little house parties in here and that, but it wasn't like I was raving like everyone else or even going to that many concerts. You know what I mean? I was just practicing and trying to become like the greats, become like the ones that I loved. And I knew I wasn't there. I knew how far I had to go to get there, so it was just, I was insane. I mean, I just wanted it. I wanted it, so.
It was that because that experience that you, after that, right now, actually, you have a lot of projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have like different projects, side projects. Your main band is a Reminder.
Yeah,
right?
A Reminder right now.
But then you have different projects. It's because that experience that put you through that idea to have many projects, play with everybody, or it's just like something that happened?
Well, that's a pretty kind of a complex question, because back in the day you were in one band and you guys worked all together to like make things happen. And nowadays people are so busy. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to get people together because everyone's struggling to just exist here in LA. Mm-hmm. And also being in a band when I first started, you could get a record deal. I mean, I got a $500,000 record deal with one of my bands, Mm-hmm. So there was this dream of this could happen. And it's just not the same now. There's not that like incentive for there to be a band. Mm-hmm. If the incentive is for you to do the bedroom producer thing and build up your social media and become a marketing guy and figure out how to your best angle and to, do I look good? Okay, is the song ready?
And
sell and I did that. Drinks. I mean, back in the day, that was, we used to make fun of that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, licensing music in the 80s was considered like, sellout. Yeah. You know what I mean? Exactly. Now it's like everyone was like, even in the 90s, you licensed a song to a TV, you're a sellout. You're a hat. I mean, things changed because artistry was so important. 90s was so important to be. I mean, it was the height of artistry, like hardcore artistry, in all the genres, hip hop, shoegaze, alternative rock, whatever, everywhere, So there was an incentive before, you know what I mean? For people to go out and a band to work together and to do something and to build up a following. Because if you packed a bunch of shows and you got the money man from an A&R to come down and you're packing all these shows and everyone's singing your songs, you were going to get a record deal. Yeah. It's not going to happen that way anymore. Even if you're packing all these clubs, You can be packing clubs. You can be doing all this stuff. Doesn't mean you're going to get a record deal. Doesn't mean someone's going to fork out money for you at all.
And that change has definitely had to affect how like live music is like the scene of live music in Los Angeles. The fact that I don't know,
like it's not like you're gonna go to a bar and gonna find like the new great bands.
Yeah, it's not. It's people want to get back to what's comfortable. Cover bands, blues, things that they like. You know what I mean? And it's a different time too. Yeah. The culture is more sedated. Mm-hmm. You know, I was talking with Diane about it the other day. We were like, it's like everyone's so mellow now. Yeah. It's like, fuck. I mean, maybe it's the legalization of weed or just the fact, you know, it's like we were going crazy. Yeah. I mean, we were doing wild things. I mean, and I know there's people jumping off buildings here. I heard about that the other day in downtown Paraguay. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I
was like, okay, cool. Someone's.
But yeah, that's something that break the statu quo somehow.
Yeah, it's like, but it's less.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Which. Probably a good thing. I mean, we're looking at retrospect, it's probably a good thing. But it's just a different time, you know what I mean? Like people are mellower and there's not that need to go out and get that energy out, I think. So people want to go and they want to hear some songs. They want to be entertained more than they want to like vent and go out and I'm frustrated, you know what I mean? Yeah. They're dealing with things differently. Oh, I can't afford. Let's just stay home and watch Netflix. Okay. You know, or, you know, blah, 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 blah. Let's play, let's play video games. Yeah. Video games are amazing. I mean, I don't play video games anymore. Oh, they're so addictive, but they look incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, you get in front of that screen with a huge screen. I'm like, going to the concert? Go out? Yeah. Why? This is, I'm fine. Let's have a big, wow. Yeah. It's just amazing. I mean, it's stimulating and hits all those things in the brain. And
exactly.
Wow. And now, I mean, this culture's changed. You know what I mean? And that's why you got to deliver it differently. And that's what goes back to what I was saying. Got to get out on the street. You got to think of unique ways to bring music to people so people remember you. I mean, it's still the same as it was in terms of reaching people. It's just the mediums have changed, the delivery system. So you got to get creative,
I'm being, since the things you've been saying, like I feel you have a strong approach to music from the artistic perspective, from the artistic side. But there's like another side of music, which is power, for instance, or there's another side of
the
music,
business,
which is fashion or industry. It's a different stuff that like make the music how it is now these days. How you see that from the distance? How you feel like music as a power tool for like people like Beyonce, for instance. There are Mongols and there are like they define the culture somehow. And music. I don't know if it's the main thing there.
Right.
But anyway. It worked, it worked towards people. So people like kind of like getting to that. Like how you view that from your side.
I mean, I should know more about that and I should be more involved in marketing and trying to be a better business person, but I'm horrible at it. Or I don't want to say I'm getting better. I don't want to say that because I don't want to mark myself as I'm horrible. But I'm getting better at that world. You know what I mean? Learning to care about what more people think of an image or, and learning how to kind of deliver my music online better because I'm like, I'm kind of just, I don't really think about it too much. You know what I mean? I throw up a song with some images and I don't know. I don't have too much opinion about it, but I think it's great that there's still mediums for music to be relevant.
So you think despite the fact that technology is kind of bringing new instruments, new ways of doing music, despite of that, like music will remain the same, like the same passions will be always the ones kind of like be there forever, like something like that?
Well, classical music has lasted this long. I mean, there it is. I mean, it's only a certain type of people like it, but yeah, it goes into niche. It goes into a niche market, like everything. There's always going to be the new thing. The disco. Remember disco? Yeah. All right, it was huge. Took out everything. It took out everything. Crazy. Dubstep. Everybody wanted dubstep. for like EDM. It was like everything was EDM, you know?
Yeah,
I just
It's just-
had like a flash into the future,
You know?
like 200 years, and there's like reggaeton playing at Disney Concert Hall. Everyone's like dressed up in like suits, and it's like the Philharmonic's playing.
I mean, what?
Dubstep. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I feel like somehow like
it's gonna be that.
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
was pursuing the new things as like a competition, right? But like,
Yeah.
like when we realize how like new genres and like movement of music happen, they happen organically. It happened because there was like a necessity around. Obviously maybe. I don't know, but like it's hard to say, but like you have some sort of notion.
There's a consciousness. Many people are feeling it all at once. And what creates that? Lifestyle. All right?
Material conditions.
Material conditions. People growing, I mean, you know what I mean? There's a war going on. You know what I mean? Those people are all going to, I mean, have a different experience than we are here. They're going to have different needs. I mean, the hip hop coming out of the Middle East right now is incredible. I mean, it's passionate. You have these kids talking about what's going on. I mean, it makes me cry. It's incredible. I mean, you know what I mean? It's every situation is going to breed a different thing that is going to unite the consciousness. And that's going to be what's important and relevant at that moment. You know, Bob Marley was important because of the time when he came out, there was all those things happening in Jamaica, you know what I mean? And he became more than just a pop star. He became a semi-political figure, you know what I mean? So you just never know. I think we have to get back to just doing what we feel. I mean, everyone just does what they feel anyway, I think, you know, and like, you know, but just don't, you know, I'm just saying for your LA musicians, you know, don't come to LA thinking you're gonna, you know, when I toured Ukraine, they were like, sorry. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, the venues were amazing. The sound men were incredible. The food, amazing. And they kept on saying, we know this isn't like how it is in LA. We apologize. I'm like, are you kidding? They had no idea. I was like, this is amazing. This is like special treatment. You know what I mean? I mean, and they had no idea. But and the crowds there were so hungry for music and thankful. And of course, you know, we're opening up for a bigger band, which helped. You know what I mean? And it's just, you know, you never know what you have until you travel to, until you move around, and you can't fantasize, or what's it called, idealize, when you think about something,
idealistic.
You can't, you know, you have to go there and see what's going on before you make an opinion about something. You know what I mean? Like, don't think it's just something's gonna happen for you, because you never know. It might happen for you where you are actually. Like, you know, like Midwest bands have a better, Midwest and East Coast bands have a better chance of playing and getting fans, because it's easier. There's more venues closer together. Here it's different. You know, there's not a lot of live music venues.
You think
like
LA still is a city where it's musically somehow like people are passionate for music, like audiences, and it's not like that.
No, LA's never been. Everybody's tired and very relaxed. Everyone in the audience is an artist or in the industry, at least around here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are just like, okay, this is cool. I'm here. I mean, you know, but that's why I like going to raves, because people are having fun, or, you know, but you go to other things like the country rock night, you know, and everyone's dressed up in the country stuff, and they're all feeling their countryness. So, you know, there's pockets. You go to the goth night, people are really feeling it. You know what I mean? So there's still like little pockets, you know what I mean? But generally the energy at the shows is really mellow.
Yeah.
It's mellow, man. And you go to like Brazil, or you hear about, I haven't been to Brazil, but South America, or even when I was in England, I mean, the people there just get so fired up and you know, they're fucking drinking, they're having fun. You know what I mean? In Ukraine, it was like that too, going crazy for the music. And they knew who we were. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. You get back to LA, and we played our first show after touring, and you're just like, I'm like sobbing. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, definitely. I guess traveling has to change your mindset and your frame of reference to what you want in, like, what you expect, or what would you want to have as an ideal live session or live.
Yeah, or a live
venue.
experience.
live
Yeah. I mean,
experience.
it doesn't stop me from not performing. I perform all the time here, and I will continue to perform and gather as many fans as I can. You know, but you know, I'm not expecting people to go crazy here. You know, I just do it because I love to play and I love to connect. That's why I play the street. You know, so you know, but you know, or you go to a local bar that has maybe some, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 people there on a random night, the locals get to play for some people, having some drinks, you know, cool, make a little bit of money.
Have fun.
Yeah, have fun with it, you know. You know, but these bedroom producers, like you said, man, they're making these things, they're working the SoundCloud, they're, you know, that's not to, I don't like to disprove that. I don't want it to come across like I'm saying that's bad or anything. I think that's great. You know, there's a bunch of songs on TikTok I'm watching and I'm crying because they're beautiful music, beautiful songs. You know what I mean? It's amazing. There's that medium is still great. And I just don't spend a lot of time on it because I like watching it in the flesh. I'm a physical person, you know?
I think it's just like, it's also built for like a different generation of listeners. Also.
Yeah.
I think it's, it is interesting how both things can exist at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's too early to disqualify.
Yeah. And I mean,
because it hasn't been around enough time. It's like when people say, "Oh yeah, I'm a social media expert." Right.
Yeah.
It's like it hasn't been around enough for you to be an expert.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And which expert for when? Like last week?
It just changed today.
Yeah.
So it's like
exactly.
Things. Yeah. What you're saying, things change so fast that I think music is like is part of like humanity. It's also changing fast, and it's hard to disqualify things before like finding out what they're going to be.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I love hearing music from all around the world on the internet. You know, I love it.
Yeah,
you know,
cool.
and it's amazing too because you hear about a band like say in France or wherever, or in you know, the Netherlands or Trinidad or whatever, and you send them a message, you know, and then all of a sudden you're connecting with them, and if they're cool, then you can go out there and play with them, you know, and play with these bands. I mean, it's more connected than ever. So in a way, it's more positive than it is negative in terms of the application of music, what music is for, bringing us together. So I think in that sense, it's very good. Financially, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what? People have only been making money off of music for about 100 years since the birth of the publishing, ASCAP, and all that stuff. Before that, you needed patrons, or you were playing in bars, It was all, you know, guided by whatever the commercial norm was. You know what I mean?
That's so crazy.
So that's another thing. If you got to research, like, you know, I only made, you know, off my publishing. Well, dude, that shit's done, man.
Yeah.
Like it's you know, yeah, you can still make it, but you got to know the right people, or you got to spend X amount of money to get X amount of money, and you know what I mean. It's just different now. You know what I mean? It's different, and
it's like another job.
It's another thing.
Another thing.
Yeah. So it's. I think the internet is just. I think it's incredible, and live music is always going to be there. It's never not going to be there. There's always going to be rebels. If it starts like in LA, it's been dwindling, but then you hear about, there's these background punk shows in Boyle Heights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 300 kids, people slam dancing. You see the videos. You're like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
You know?
And
then just when you think that music's rock and roll's done, Turnstile is like popular and is like, you know what I mean? Like kicking it and doing all the jams. And you're like, oh my God, there's a band that sounds like, you know, rock and roll. Like, and they're popular, you know, they're not just like this Americana alternative, watered down, you know, unrebellious thing, you know what I mean? But you know, it comes in waves, everything in waves, and it's beautiful, you know, it's painful. It's very painful, but it's beautiful too, you know? So
we as a podcast, we try to create like a bridge between musicians, artists, and the audience, and try to give to the audience like a view of what's happened in LA, what's happening. But by the other hand, we've been encountered cultural journalism and musical journalism is dying. It's kind of like there's no many media anymore, and many of the cultural pages of different newspapers are gone.
People aren't reading as much.
Yeah, and like no one's kind of like do concert review anymore and stuff like that. Like, you feel that's affecting the way of people perceiving music too, or it's not important?
I don't know. I mean, you have TikTok and all that stuff for all the concert reviews and news and all these different point of views. It's like I can get 20 different point of views on a subject now, or 20 different opinions on a concert instead of
So it's
the
like
LA Times.
decentralized, and it's just like everyone has their own.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I mean, maybe. I mean, probably because everyone's looking to that one, you know, everyone was about trying to get into the LA, to get on the LA Times, LA Weekly, and not everyone's looking at the LA Weekly anymore, or not everyone's reading Rip Magazine or Alternative Press or Rolling Stone or Pitchfork. Pitchfork was huge. Consequence of Sound. These were big blog things, but it's still niche. Yeah. They still have a niche following, but it's gotten so big now that it's really about the artists doing the work themselves, you know, connecting with each individual fans, and you just need 1,000 fans to spend $100 a year to run a business. Yeah, and that's all. And the artists need to do the work themselves, and that's the good thing and the bad thing.
Yeah, it's the word like. Yeah, like the artist has to give like a whole experience to the audience, like the whole thing.
It's insane. It's insane. It's really hard. It's really hard. Yeah. You know, it's really hard.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and hence why I have so many bands is because I like to play a lot live. Yeah. You know, all the time, and I'm always starting new projects. I have a new project called Love Stereo, and I'm working on that. And, you know, I'm constantly doing session work for other people, you know, different pop singers and producers, and, you know, just keeping it fresh for myself, having fun and making sure I'm always enjoying myself. And when things start to not get fun now, I can say, I don't want to do this anymore. It's getting to be too much, especially if it's not paying you any money, you know, because I do so much for love, you know, and when things don't, you know, just to keep my practice going. That's why I have so much going on. You know, because you got to keep busy, because you, as a producer, you can get caught producing where you don't play your instrument maybe for weeks because you're just sampling and putting songs together and playing for 5 minutes or here and there, and then putting the songs together like with the computer because it's so easy, right? And fun, you know, and then you don't play for 2 weeks. You don't touch your bass, you don't practice, and, you know, I don't want that to happen to me anymore. I'm on a specific regiment. I'm playing my instrument, practicing all the time, so I always can be as good.
Keep it sharp.
You know what I mean? And keep getting better, because you plateau. Yes. You plateau. If you don't practice, you're going to stay at this one level. You got to practice if you want to get better. Now, how important is it to you to get better on your bass or your instrument or your craft? You'd rather be a producer. You'd rather raise horses and be a musician. Okay. You know, you'd rather blah, 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 hang with your kids. Got it. You know what I mean? There's so much going on. You got to make money. You know, you got to work. So the priorities are always, you know, important in the intentions, but, you know, I've always tried to make my money through music so that I'm always in practice. You know, problem is, you know, you can't always make enough money to sustain yourself. And that's where it gets tricky. You know what I mean? But if you keep grinding, and if you keep working at it, I believe that it can, you know, you can get to a place where it can be sustainable. You know what I mean? But it's a grind, you know?
So there's no, like, you don't feel there's like a network that can kind of like, for musicians, can rely on anymore? Like,
there's different things popping up all the time, websites for sessions where you can kind of set up profiles as a session player. They're all around. They're always popping up. People can check out your profile and your work, and, you know, send you a message, and you talk about, you know, what fees, you know, blah, blah, blah. My friends use websites like that, but even just Instagram, you know, putting your music up on Instagram. Someone likes it. Hey, I want you to make a beat for me, or I want you to produce a song. Okay. Well, you know, you just got to, you know, stay out there and keep creating and
show your craft,
show yourself, you know, putting it out there. Don't be scared of getting one like on a post and letting it destroy you. I was talking to my friend the other day. He doesn't put out any of his music because he spent a year making an album. He got 4 likes on Facebook and he just quit music for 2 years. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, I love your songs, man. Well, no one else cares. Who cares? Like, just do it. Do it for love, man.
Yeah.
You're one of my main inspirations. We grew up together, man. Just keep it at it, but I get it,
Yeah, it's difficult to keep.
It's difficult to keep doing it, especially if you're having money problems, or your wife needs more attention because she's, whatever, needs to take a break from her job and you need to cover the bills or blah, 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 or, you know what I mean? You don't have as much time. But I'm a big firm believer in little spurts here. You can always find 5 minutes. Come on, 5 minutes, pick up the computer and work on a beat for 5 minutes. It's not ideal, but I mean, hey, you got to get it where you can, practice. I pick up my bass when I'm eating my food. I'm just practicing and I got to get this practice in there. You know what I mean? Because it's 10,000 hours to genius. You know what I mean? And, 5 minutes a day is still something. 10 minutes a day is still something, so. I don't know. It depends how bad you want to do it.
That's like a good message, I think, to wrap up on. I know you have to head out soon.
I know I got a show, man.
Yeah.
What time is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, Jonathan, thanks.
Sorry, I just went off, man. I'm sorry about this. I hope it was okay.
It's good. It's good.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Jonathan, thanks so much for being with us. Let people know where they can find you, where they can find your music, and we'll also add this in the description. But, and let them know what's coming up for you next.
I'm playing tonight at the Offbeat Bar in Highland Park. Come out!
Yeah.
I'm playing Rosenthal Winery regularly with Chester Copperpot, this alternative hip hop band I moonlight with. March 22nd, March 22nd, I'll be at Brennan's with A Reminder. Mm-hmm. And just look out for, come in my Instagram. It's Jonathan Burkes, I think at Jonathan Burkes. Yeah, mm-hmm. Burx. And just add me and say what's up if you want to hear more. And I'll send you some links and, just say hi. And I'm always busy. I'm always looking for the next gig or always excited to get out and meet new people and, have a night of music and, whether it's enjoyed and whether people enjoy it or not. I'm out there trying to sculpt some fans here, but thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. You're welcome back anytime to discuss more subjects.
Yeah, I think we have a
we
lot
can talk
of
about
things
text.
when I keep talking, but I know you have to go, so thank you so much. Thank you so much. Y bueno, amigos de la última canción, síganos en las redes sociales, recuerden ahí también suscribirse, compartirlo y cariños para todos. Vamos a la hora. Bye.
Bye.